What does the education, and in Virginia, it's Education and Health Committee, what does it do? What is its mission and purpose?
Well, under the Code of Virginia and the way the structure of the Senate and the House operate, which is somewhat dictated by the Constitution, we actually have an oversight provision over the Department of Education. And so we will receive a lot of the reports, get a lot of the factual information. This is in session and also out of session. So a lot of that takes place there. I will tell you that as leadership always produces its own wake, if you have a strong chairman, which I tried to be, I would have a plan for every bill. In other words, we would have meetings the days before the committee. I would determine that I would like to see this bill go here or there, or be killed, or pass, or modified. It doesn't mean that my will would always be done, but a strong chairman has a plan. Mm-hmm. We've seen in the past that you have a weak chairman, and they will either rely on a subcommittee chairman, or really they don't have a plan. It's kind of the will of the committee kind of process. So it depends on the chairs, but overall. I think we have basically the ability to pass legislation in Virginia that can either override Board of Education policy, we can set Board of Education policy, and probably just as important as all of that is we are the originators of legislation that ends up going to Senate Finance Committee, which ends up driving the public education funding operation. So the funding in Virginia is complex. The education quality is complex, but those people that understand it and those chair people that are kind of running it helps. One is the standards of quality. They're called SOQs. You'll hear them mentioned that way. Standards of quality are basically what are the core items that we're going to require every school board to have. In other words, how many principals are they required to have? How many counselors are they supposed to have? What are the standards of quality? Now, these are not necessarily the subject matter items, but it is the mechanism, the foundation that you need to have to be able to meet the requirements. Then there's standards of accreditation. We call them the SOAs. Standards of accreditation basically determine what you need to know. In other words, what you need to teach and what you need to know. And for the longest time, when we had accountability in education, there might be an SOL test or something that says, yes, that Johnny has some idea of what 2 + 2 means, right? That has all gone away, and we've gone all to feel-good items now. But in the past, the standards of accreditation were tied to accountability standards. A through F is grading for schools and other items that's out there. The last one is really how we end up with the funding mechanism. That's critical because Virginia is a little different than other states. So in Virginia, education is a function of the state government and the local government. And we have basically a formula that we come up with. It has to do with how poor or rich a locality is. And that formula has been somewhat sacred in the General Assembly for many, many, many decades. It says a county like Lee County in far southwest Virginia probably gets about 80% of their money from the state of Virginia. They donate 20% of their money. But in Fairfax County, that is basically reversed. They get about 20% of their money from the state of Virginia, and then about 80% they fund locally. So those are the three major mechanisms and how the Finance Committee and the Education Committee overlap.